All right, guys, welcome back to the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. I'm Dave. That's Gus. No further introduction. You guys know the deal here. We're going to talk sports. We're going to talk NBA, college hoops. We're going to talk about some NFL, some UFL. We have a special guest for that part of the segment. We're going to go dive into our unsafe takes. You guys left us a few to discuss on our Instagram, and then good dude, bad dude. But before we get going, Gus, I think we should touch on these Olympics that just passed. I mean, we had some big hockey games.
Oh yeah. So if you guys do not know, the U.S. women's hockey game was taking place, I believe, last Thursday. We played Canada as well in the women's game. That game went into overtime, and thankfully, the U.S. pulled out the win in overtime. Like I said, Megan Keller, number 5, a defenseman for our U.S. women's hockey team, put it through the legs of the defenseman during the 3-on-3, right in front of the goalkeeper, and then put it under the goalkeeper's side pad to bring us home the gold medal in the women's game. And then this past Sunday, our men's team went out against another Canada team for the men's side, and that game also went into overtime. Jack Hughes with the winning goal in that game. Zach Rowinski kind of just threw it over the ice to an open Jack Hughes. He took his time and found the back of the net. So we just wanted to shout out those two programs for our USA teams because, I mean, it doesn't get more electric than that. Both overtime wins, both against Canada, both for gold. I mean, that's storybook right there. And especially for the men's side, it's been 46 years since the U.S. men's hockey team
Yeah.
had won a gold medal. And the last time we had won a gold medal was 1980 against the Soviet Union, and it happened to take place on February 2nd in 1980, or February 22nd, I'm sorry, in 1980 against the Soviet Union. And of course, on Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, the U.S. men's hockey team beats Canada and we win the gold medal. So we just wanted to shout out those two supporting cast teams for the USA. But I think that's about it for the Olympics. I know that we won a few gold medals. We won a bunch of medals. I believe we came in second in total medals won throughout the Winter Olympics, which I'll take all day long. But yeah, we just wanted to shout out those two specific teams. But yeah, let's hop right into this basketball segment of our show. So let's hop right into our basketball segment. I'm going to start off on the NBA side of the ball. As of right now, the Pistons have the best winning percentage in the NBA right now, which, a lot of people going into the season, they had a great season last year. Going into this year, they didn't think too much about the Pistons. Obviously, a great young team. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, a few great role players on that team as well. But Cade has really, emerged as one of the best players in the league this year. So just wanted to shout out the Pistons for, killing it this year so far. But just wanted to talk about a few important games that could, affect standings, as we head later into the season that have taken place this past week, I should say. Two taking place last night of this recording on Thursday, the 26th, I believe today is. So last night, the Nuggets and the Celtics played. Celtics went to Denver. They're on a West Coast trip as of right now. They're coming off, I think, two or three big wins against Golden State, the Lakers, and the Suns. They had a back-to-back. They played the Suns the night before last night. So they're in Denver last night. Denver played outstanding last night. They won the game 103 to 84. So it was a pretty good whooping Denver gave the Celtics last night. Celtics did not shoot great from three whatsoever. But Jokic, another great performance out of him. 30, 12, and 6. I mean, that's really just an average Jokic night.
Yeah.
He still is going out and getting better every single day, and every year he gets. It seems that he gets better. Another game that took place last night was the Pistons against the Thunder, and these are the two best teams in the NBA right now. Sadly, the Thunder did have a lot of key pieces missing last night. SGA didn't play, Chet Holmgren didn't play, so the Pistons did end up taking this win 124 to 116. Cade Cunningham with a great game last night. 29, 13, 4 with 3 steals. I mean, you can't really take away from this victory for the Pistons because, I mean, it is the Thunder. They're super deep. Anybody off that bench can go up and put up 20. I believe Jerry McCain came off the bench and put up 20 for them, but regardless, still a great win for the Pistons. Now, for the game that took place last Saturday, Knicks against the Rockets. I believe those are the two three seeds in their respective conferences. This was a great game. This was an awesome game. The Knicks were down, I think, about 15 or 20 points heading into the fourth quarter, and they came back and beat the Rockets 108 to 106. Cat put up 25 and 7. That's just a regular Cat night, honestly. And Kevin Durant put up 30 points. So those are the three games that kind of stood out to me this past week and could definitely affect standings and seeding wise heading late into the season for sure.
Yeah, that I was just thinking about that Celtics game and Nuggets game you mentioned. The Celtics loss. This has to be because of the tired legs. I mean, you're coming from a West Coast trip, back to back night, not shooting well from the three like you mentioned, and I mean, my thought process is that it's tired legs. I mean, it's NBA. You're gonna have those games where you're playing a back to back, where a team is not playing the back to back, so you're just gonna have those off nights. And I mean, it was unfortunately a big game, as in terms of like seeding and standings wise in the NBA. But I mean, it's gonna happen and Nuggets are going to have those kind of games. Celtics will have those games. The other team, Pistons, OKC, they're going to have those kind of games to where you don't want to lose it, but I mean, you're tired legs and you're just going to take the loss on the chin and look forward to the next one.
Definitely.
And then I saw that what was the second game you mentioned again? I'm sorry.
It was the Pistons Thunder game.
Pistons Thunder.
Yep.
I keep on early in the season. You saw all these things saying OKC is going to beat that Warriors record of 73-9.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, that just goes to show how good that Warriors team was.
Yeah.
They go 73-9. Everybody was saying this OKC team when they were like, would they have like 25 wins and one loss or 25 wins?
One or two losses to start.
Something crazy like that. And like, oh, OKC is better than that Warriors team. No, not a chance. Dude.
Absolutely not.
That's abysmal. If you think that, and now they have like 16 losses on the year or whatever.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, that sucks for them, but you're dumb if you think they're even touching that Warriors team.
Yeah, absolutely not. Definitely not.
Yeah, and then I wanted to bring up the tanking in the NBA. There's a lot of around the rumor mill that these teams are purposely tanking, and we knew tanking is a part of the NBA. Everybody knows that teams are going to purposely lose games. They're going to pull their starters in late games just so they can lose. And I've been seeing a lot of feedback from Adam Silver, the commissioner, talking of ways to stop it. Some broadcasters, some analysts are talking about ways to stop it. And one thing that stood out to me was Charles Barkley. He proposed two different ways to stop tanking. The first one, he said, remove the pick protection from picks. So teams can no longer protect their pick, can no longer lottery protected, top five protected. As that, I guess that gives a way to where, okay, a pick's not as valuable now or it's not going to be, you can't trade a pick, but then get it back if it's a top five because you're bad. And then also another one is one ball per lottery team in the lottery when they lottery picks or whatever they do, one ball per team. So the 14 worst teams are the same odds of getting 1 through 14. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on those two proposed by Chuck?
They're not bad proposals. I think that, if you are the worst team in the league, going off the second, thing that you just mentioned, having, one ball per team, if you're the last 14 teams, a 14 seed team or the 14th worst team compared to the worst team in the league, that 14th team just missed the playoffs. Especially if it's a Western Conference team, maybe a younger team, and they're on the brink of a playoff run, but the West, is always very competitive. So you're going to have, good teams missing the playoffs in some cases. And if they end up with the first overall pick, then that could be a dynasty in the making. You know what I'm saying? But I don't hate the proposal. I definitely don't like the tanking aspect. But for this year specifically, you can't really blame these teams for tanking. I'm not a supporter of the tanking whatsoever. Yeah. But you can't really blame them in this scenario this year, especially because of the draft this year. I mean, it's one of the greatest drafts that I've ever witnessed because the four main guys coming out of college this year can definitely be number one overall picks for the last 5 or 6 years, and I think that's just explains itself that I don't blame these teams for wanting one of those players, one of the four players, but I don't like tanking in general. I think it does kind of take some value out of the game, especially for what the Utah Jazz did. It might have been this past week, maybe the last 2 weeks, where they sat basically all their starters for the fourth quarter. And, the fans go there to see these guys play.
Yeah.
And especially in Utah, you're not going to see, you are going to see, especially in the West, other teams come and they're going to see those players. But you go and support your home team. You want to see your players on the court. You spent the money to go see them. But, yeah, like I said, I don't really like the idea of tanking, but I think they can definitely maneuver it to where it is fixed in the NBA for sure.
Yeah, like you said, how the four top prospects, they can all go number one, and
Yeah.
that I think that's the first time in a long time in our lives that I think we've seen it to where there's no solidified number one pick. Now we are still in February, so by NBA draft it's in June, right? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
by June it could change where there's a number one guy locked and loaded, but these four guys, no one knows who's going one. They don't know who's going one. They don't know where they're going. So I think I mean like you can't blame the teams, but like you said, it sucks to see teams blatantly tank, blatantly want to lose the games because I mean it's not right in their integrity of the game. That's not how the NBA was made for teams to lose.
Definitely.
And another wild take I saw about tanking in general, of how to get rid of it. It's by David Dennis Jr. And he said this on First Take. I think he said this about last week. He proposed just to get rid of the NBA draft. And Stephen A. Smith went off on him. I mean, I'm going to go off on him because that's just the most absurd thing I've heard in regards to stopping tanking. How you're going to get rid of the NBA draft and make the rookies coming in as free agents to where they can pick what team they want to go to? Isn't every rookie want to? Oh, OKC, a bunch of young guys I can sign for a rookie minimum, and we can go win the next 5 championships.
That would
There's
be
got to if that's even a Adam Silver needs to just throw that idea out the window because there's no way in his right mind that he's thinking that that is the right idea of how to stop
definitely.
these tankings.
No, no. Yeah, I don't like that deal at all whatsoever. Like you said, I mean, any team can go out and sign a rookie right now to a rookie minimum and then go, like you said, the OKC Thunder will go win 5 to 10 championships in a row, even if they get one of the guys. But yeah, I don't like that rule whatsoever, or that even idea of
Yeah,
that coming across that guy's mind. I don't know what he was thinking.
he's crazy. But let's jump into these. We have three big games coming up in the NCAA basketball hoops. We got Michigan State at Purdue, Michigan at Illinois, and then Kansas at Arizona. Top 25 matchups. Gus, what are your thoughts on these games coming up?
So Michigan Purdue is taking place tonight on Thursday, the 26th. It's a 13 against a 7. Big Ten ranked matchup. Those are always fun to watch. For this game, I have Purdue winning. I know that Michigan State away in the Big Ten, that is some of their 3 losses this year. So that's something to look forward to. But Purdue at home this year, 3 of their losses have come at home to Big Ten teams. So it kind of cancels each other out. I think it's going to be a great game. The spread on this is 7.5. I do have Purdue to win this game, but I would not be surprised if Michigan State kept this close. They have a bunch of firepower on offense. Jeremiah Fears can go ahead and drop 20 any game he'd like. And Cohen Carr is another forward who's very versatile who can also go out there and drop 20. But it all depends on how Purdue defends the ball. I know that Michigan State is also a very good rebounding team as well. I believe they're second in the Big Ten in rebounds per game. So if they can crash the boards on their misses or Purdue's misses and really outplay them on the boards, then I think I can definitely see Michigan State coming into Purdue and pulling out an upset win.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this one. I'm going to take Purdue as well. Like you said, Michigan State's a good rebounding team, but that only applies if Purdue's missing the ball,
Yeah,
missing their shots. And I don't think you're going to miss their shots. Like you mentioned, 12-3 home. It's 7.5 point favorites for a reason. They're going to come out. They're going to show why there was that big of a favorite, and they're going to win this game comfortably.
definitely, definitely. But the other game we wanted to go to is going to be taking place on Friday night. That is Michigan at Illinois, the number 3 team against the number 10 team. The spread on this game is -1.5 to Michigan's favor, even though they are the away team. Michigan's coming off a huge loss this past weekend against Duke. Huge as in, if they win this game, then they stay the number 1 seed in the country. Not as a huge loss as they lost by a lot, but it's still very degrading when you're the number 1 team in the country and you guys meet at a mutual site and you can't really pull off the win. But they're still the number 3 team in the country for a reason. I think they're going to go into Illinois and put up a fight, but I honestly have Illinois pulling off this win. I think if Illinois wants to have a very high seed in the Big Ten, championship tournament, they need to win like this, especially at home against a great Michigan team. This year, Illinois is 13-2 at home, But Michigan this year is also 16-1 against the Big Ten. So I think it's going to be a great game regardless. But if Illinois does, like I said, if Illinois does want a higher seed in the Big Ten championship tournament, then they are definitely going to have to beat this awesome Michigan team.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Michigan here. I think they're only 1.5 point favorites because of they just lost to Duke and they are not in the number one seed anymore. So I think that's why the spread is so low. Michigan's 9-0 away from home, and I think they're just going to come to Illinois and they're going to blow them out. They're going to blow them out the gym. They're going to show that they still deserve. They probably even if they win and Duke still wins this weekend, I don't think they're going to jump places with each other, but they want to show that hey, I deserve to be the top dog in college hoops, and they're going to win this game comfortably again.
Definitely understandable why you'd take Michigan. But going into our last, pick of this week is going to be on Saturday. So we have three days in a row of very good college basketball. It's going to be Kansas at Arizona. I remember a few weeks back, Arizona went to Kansas, and without Darren Peterson, Kansas beat Arizona at home by a score of 82-78. And that game was a great game as well. Arizona just wasn't really as efficient on offense as they usually are. But I believe in this game, Arizona at home against a Kansas team that, has been under some controversies, especially with Darren Peterson. He's been, seemed as, he's sitting out a lot. And in the same game that Arizona went to Kansas, Arizona outscored Kansas 45-42 in the first half. But Kansas came out in the second half, guns a-blazing, and I believe outscored them by about 8 or 10 points. And that was the deciding factor in that game. Arizona is 13-2 in the Big 12 also, while Kansas is 11-4. So Kansas does have a little bit more trouble against Big 12 teams, rightfully so. I mean, the Big 12 is a very powerhouse conference right as of right now. But yeah, I have Arizona pulling out this win to cancel out the win that Kansas had against them earlier in this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm taking Arizona as well. 14-1 at home this season. I mean, they in the earlier matchup they shot 44% from the field versus a team average when they usually play well. They shoot to 50%. So I mean, that's I'm not a math guy, but how many points of a swing could that be? And they just lost by 4 points. So I think they're going to handle this game and they're going to take the win at home.
That sounds good to me. I did want to go over some of our picks from last week as well. I believe me and Dave both went 1-3.
Yeah.
Like I said before, Michigan played Duke in Washington, D.C. at a mutual site. The final score of that game was 68-63 Duke. So that was only a 5 point game. I mean, it was the 1 and the 3 teams in the country. It was basically the Final Four weekend last weekend.
Yeah.
The 1 and 3 seeds played, and the 2 and 4 seeds played. I'll get to the 2 and 4 seed game in a second, but Cam Boozer had a great game against Michigan. 18, 10, and 7. I mean, you can't really have a better game than that, especially as a 4 on a stacked team like Duke is. But that was a huge win for Duke, and that pushed them up to be the number 1 team in the country after that win. The other game that I was talking about, the 2 seed against the 4 seed last week, Houston and Arizona. Arizona went to Houston and beat them 73-66. Anthony Del Orso had 22 points for Arizona. He's a 3 point sniper. I'm not too sure how many threes he had hit, but I remember watching the game and he was cooking for sure. He ended up with 22 points with 4 steals as well. I believe that yeah, Houston had 20 or 12 turnovers, which is very not like Houston. They usually are very good ball handlers and don't turn the ball over too much, and that created 16 points off turnovers for Arizona. So just not a very good game for Houston overall. But I have them, I believe. Oh no, they don't play this week. I forgot. But moving on, BYU at Iowa State at BYU last week. I picked BYU. I believe Dave picked Iowa State, and the final score of that game was 79-69 for BYU. And another masterclass performance from AJ Debinsa. He put up 29, 10, and 9 in 40 minutes. He played the whole game, and that's another just masterclass performance. Cam Boozer and AJ Debinsa, 2 of the 4 guys we were talking about before, coming out of this class from college to the NBA, who's, like we said before, 2 of those guys could go number 1 overall. Darren Peterson could go number 1 overall. It's really just up in the air as of right now, and I think going late into the season, especially into March, we'll definitely have a better view on who the number 1 overall pick is going to be in June.
For sure.
But I believe that wraps it up. We made our picks. We discussed last week's game. So let's hop right into our football segment of the pod.
All right, guys, welcome to the football segment of our podcast. And as you can see, there's three of us now. Our second special guest, Mr. Brennan Simpson, aka Brick. Brick, how you doing today, man?
Doing well. How you fellas doing today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're gonna dive straight into this segment. I called it the football segment because we're talking about the NFL and the UFL, spring football as well. First, I want to touch on the NFL, but the combine started, I think, like 2 days ago, were like the interview rounds or whatever they do. And today was the first day of on-field workouts. But a few key notes from just the combine in general was that Mendoza, the projected number one pick for the Raiders, is choosing not to throw at the combine. He's like he's like saying that he wants to just take it all at his pro day with his teammates, with his guys, make sure they have a good day. And I just want to hear your guys' takes if you guys think that's good, if that's bad. A few notes that some other quarterbacks that skipped out on the passing segment at the combine. I mean, we have Joe Burrow. He went number one in 2020. Andrew Luck skipped passing. Matt Stafford skipped passing. Another notable person that just skipped the workouts in general, Chase Young skipped workouts. He was still the number two overall pick for the Washington football team at the time. So, yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Is it good? Does it matter for Mendoza? Is he still a lock number one? Or, yeah, so –
I mean, in my opinion, I'll give it a break after I give my take. But I think Mendoza really did it because you never know what can happen at the combine. I don't think there's been any major injuries or anything like that, but he's pretty much got the first overall pick locked down for sure. Raiders are looking for a quarterback because Geno Smith is not going to cut it out, even if they did went, another direction with the number one overall pick. But I think it's great for Fernando because I think that he has the mindset of if I make my other guys look good, because it's going to be his receiving core, his whole staff's going to be there, so it's going to make him look good, and the guys that he's been with the past year or two. He won a national championship with them. He's going to try to give them as much national attention as he can, and as he has the power to right now. But that's my take on it. What do you think about it, Brick?
Yeah, I agree on the national attention. And I mean, you've got a year worth of film on this guy already. We've got a 15-0 run. If that's not enough for scouts, I'm not sure what will be. I think Mendoza's looking at it as the combine can only make his draft stock worse. It can't make it any better at this point for him. His focus is more on his teammates as well as doing well in the boardroom interviews and other parts of the combine where maybe he's more focused on his 40 time or just the IQ test. The Wonderlic is normally a big indicator for quarterbacks. So I think he's putting his focus more towards those things.
Yeah, I agree with you, both you guys on there. I don't think that, like you said, Brick, I think it'll get hurt his draft stock as he's not throwing to his receivers, the guys that he's used to. Because he could air out a ball for 60 yards, put it in the breadbasket, and that receiver's going to drop it because he's like some guy that went to NAIA school that's just randomly got selected for the combine. But no, good for Mendoza. He's coming out. He's saying he's not doing it. And now, I mean, he's still going to go number one. We'll find out later in April. But some other news I have in the NFL recent, I think like 2 days ago, Kyle Pitts was franchise tagged. I know Brick, me and you, Commanders fans, I was looking at him to bring him in as a Commander. He was one of the tight ends that were a free agent that I thought would be perfect with JD5. My other guy is Isaiah Likely, who's still a free agent. So hopefully that would likely happen. No, you like that?
Okay.
But no, I hope he would come to this Commanders. But Kyle Pitts being franchise tag, Gus, do you guys have any opinions on that? Is that kind of like you saw it coming, or were you thinking he was going to go free agent route?
I think obviously it's the smart thing to do for the Falcons. We touched on, I believe, George Pickens about a week or two ago and how he got franchise tagged. You want to see these guys get bags in free agency, and Kyle Pitts coming off of one of his best year of his career so far. And he obviously had that in mind going into free agency this, summer and offseason. He's not getting, what he probably could have gotten in free agency. I think he got tagged for about still like 23 or $24 million, something like that, which is, outstanding money for a tight end.
That's a
But
bag.
I think it's great for Atlanta. I know they're going to cut Kirk Cousins during the first day of the new season, as they say. So Michael Penix Jr. just having Kyle Pitts back in that offense. Hopefully this new coach, Kevin Stefanski, gets another OC or a better OC, and they can, start to heat up down there in Atlanta because that's a fun, young, exciting team to watch for sure.
For sure. Burke, anything on it, or is it just same as Gus?
Yeah, I mean, I think the franchise tag is always kind of a fallback plan on the 5-year deals that we normally have for rookies. When you don't, enact that 5th year, you're saying, hey, we like you a lot. We just need to see a little bit more. We're going to franchise tag you. Make sure you don't go anywhere else. Because that was definitely a worry. There was a lot of teams, Commanders, me and you, Dave, obviously looking at him. So I think the Falcons recognized this, thought we don't want to give him away. We also don't want to pay the market premium. We give him the franchise tag. We give him a multi-year deal. We hope that he pans out because he had a great rookie season. Next 2 seasons, not so great. Last year, pretty good. I believe he was 4th in fantasy PPR for tight ends. Yeah. So seems like the right move for the Falcons.
Definitely. I think that a lot of that came on the back half when Kirk Cousins was just feeding him the ball, but it's going to be exciting. Hopefully him and Penix can do something. And, I mean, he was labeled the unicorn for a reason. I mean, this guy was a freak athlete at Florida. So hopefully he can just continue this good season he had last year and brings it on for next year. The last bit of NFL news I had, I don't know if you guys have any others, is today actually Anthony Richardson was given the green light to go find a trade. The coach is basically saying, we're done with you. You can go find a trade. If it's a good trade for us, if we seem it's the right fit, if we're getting back what we value you at, then we're going to take it. Do you guys have any teams in mind that might go after Richardson? Do you think Richardson can still play at that elite level? I mean, he came out as a number 4 overall pick as well. And everybody thought that this guy was going to be a stud. He's 23 years old. He's still young in the NFL. He still has a lot of years ahead of him. And so I hope he finds a team and settles in as a starter because, I mean, he was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's still 23 years old. That's very young for quarterbacks in this league. I don't know how old Fernando Mendoza is, but I believe he was on his 5th year of eligibility at school. So he's around that same age of 22, 23 years old, and hasn't even sniffed an NFL snap yet. And I believe it's, 3 or 4 years that Anthony Richardson has already been in the league. I know injuries have derailed him. I don't know if he's had a full season in the NFL yet, but we saw him at his pro day. He was stepping back for a pass and he hits the rafters up in the Gators facility. And that was just a crazy thing to watch because he knew exactly what he was doing. And he definitely impressed me and probably the scouts. That's why he was drafted so high. But a few teams that I have in mind, the Vikings is the first team that comes to mind for me at least. J.J. McCarthy obviously wasn't, what we expected him to be last year. I know injuries also derailed him as well. He didn't play his entire rookie season because of injuries, but he came out last year after a full off season and a camp and didn't really perform the way we thought he would. So maybe throwing a little bit more competition for them to compete for the starting spot would give him kind of an ego boost and kind of get his confidence back up. That's the first team I think of. Another team, honestly, would be the Dolphins. If we bring in, a free agent or a young guy out of the draft, that can just add another level of competition for one of those quarterbacks and, maybe boost his game or the quarterback we bring in. But any of the teams in the NFL right now that are kind of iffy on a quarterback or bringing in a new quarterback can definitely bring in Anthony Richardson. I know he's not Cam Newton, but he has a Cam Newton's kind of playing style. He can scramble out of the pocket. He obviously has a cannon of an arm. But, mixing him in with some competition on any of these NFL teams would be very interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we've brought him up 3 or 4 times now, but Marcus Mariota from the Commanders moving into free agency, another team that just lacks a backup quarterback right now. And with the system put in place with Jaden Daniels being a mobile quarterback, I would argue big arm, makes those downfield throws, very mobile. Richardson kind of gives that same style of play that Mariota was also providing when he was the backup. So we don't have to have entire concept changes if a quarterback goes down again, especially bringing in how fragile Jaden Daniels has shown to be so far. Along with that, we got a couple of retirement homes going on. The Rams with Stafford, 34 years old. How many more years does he have left? Could be worth bringing in Richardson to learn from, I would argue, one of the last standing greats of the quarterback era of the 2010s, the Breeze, the Rodgers, the Brady. So Stafford could really maybe give the young guys some advice because Richardson only started 13 games in college before he got to the NFL. So pretty low numbers. So I think there's a lot left to be learned for Richardson.
Definitely. Like you said, a few of those retirement homes, when you said that, my mind jumped to the Steelers. If he was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, that's one guy that has a cannon of an arm that can likes those Hail Mary balls, and Richardson will just learn a ton from Rodgers.
Yeah, and I think he'll benefit from the run game too. I don't think he's a pass-first quarterback.
Definitely. That's all I had in the NFL side of things. Did you guys have anything else, or you want to jump straight into these UFL?
I'm ready for this UFL rule changes, man. I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, so Gus brought it up to me earlier this week that how UFL made these big changes to all the rules that are coming in. We saw the UFL was kind of like a testing zone. Like we saw these when the league first got brought back. We saw these weird rules, a weird kickoff, which the NFL later adapted. These ways to go for like a 3-point conversion when you score a touchdown. But I'm just going to run through the list of the rules, and we can touch on each of them, or you guys can stop me when you have something you want to say. But one of the rules that they implemented that I have is 6 new rules, I think. But the first one is a no tush push. So they banned the tush push. I don't know if that was an issue in the UFL, but they're saying there's no plays to where the quarterback's getting helped from behind, essentially. So I wonder if that's going to limit a QB sneak in a way, or if they're going to find a way around it. Next rule I saw was any field goal over 60-plus yards are now worth 4 points. Catches are now required 1 foot in bounds. They're going college rules. Red zone penalties are half the distance to the goal line. That's the same in the NFL now. Big one that we have that our boy Brick has a lot of information on is no punting when you get past the 50-yard line. We'll come back to that one because that's a deep dive right there. They added a 2-point shootout for the overtime rules. So the way I took that, there's no open field play. They're just lining up at the 5-yard line. Each team gets 3 attempts, and whoever has the most points after those 3 attempts. So it could be over after 2. If I go 2-0 on my attempts and Gus goes 0-2, Gus can't get 4 points in the third round, so I win. That one, yeah, that's all I had. But let's do a deep dive. Let's just jump straight into this no punting past the 50-yard line. One of the stipulations of it was it doesn't apply when there's 2-minute warning. So 2 minutes before halftime and 2 minutes at the end of the game. I believe the way we interpreted it was that you can still punt in those scenarios. But once you pass, other than those 2 moments, once you pass the 50-yard line, even if you get sacked, 3 plays in a row and now you're on your own 35, you still cannot punt the ball. So, Gus, I'm just going to hand it over to Brick because Brick did a deep dive on this. He has a lot of information on it. Brick, take it away.
All right, fellas. So right now we're going to be looking at the 2025 NFL season. So this previous year, in front of you, you're going to be able to see this dashboard that I'm looking at. I've got every punt from the 2025 NFL season, excluding punts that happened in the last 2 minutes of the second and fourth quarter. In this time frame, there was 1,933 total punts. Of those punts, there was 257 that happened in opposing territory, meaning on the 50 or closer. That means, in my eyes, 257 cowardly punts, but that would mean 11% of punts last year would be illegal with these new UFL rules being implemented. A big change. Even bigger is looking at who is leading the game when these punts are happening. Of those 226 total banned punts, barring this rule change coming to the NFL, almost half of those, 96, would be coming from teams that were leading when they punted. Now we can set the stage here. Third quarter, we're up by 5. We're on the opposition 48. It's a windy game in Buffalo. It's 4th and 7. Most cases, we want to punt the ball. We can't throw it. We haven't been able to throw all day. We've seen games like that where Josh Allen completed 4 passes 2 years ago against the Patriots in Buffalo. With these new rules, that punt would have to come into play. The expected conversion rate on a 4th and 6 is already at 30% right now per the last season of the NFL, not including those weather increments I already talked about. So there's a lot of substantial changes that can come from this. For one, I think it's going to cause teams to have to make decisions when we look at the analytics are not the best expected value decisions. So normally when a team is 4th and 2, the analytics say go for it. We all see those little messages that pop up when you're watching the game. ESPN analytics say go for it. When it's 4th and 9, it says punt the ball. Well, if we can't punt the ball from the other side, it's going to really create, I believe, high scoring games where teams are going to be getting the ball back from the 45. And then we can pair this into the 60-yard field goal, which happens at your opposition's 43, now counting for 4 points. I think the kicker market could become a premium. Guys like Brandon Aubrey, guys like Cam Little, those guys that are kicking 62, 63-yard field goals consistently, that's like a whole new market. I mean, if I'm a kicker, I'm asking for a bigger contract. If you expect me to make a 62-yard field goal because it's 4th and 8 on the 44 and you don't want to punt the ball. I mean, you can't punt the ball, but you don't want to go for it. So you're sending me out there instead. So I think it's going to really create a different dynamic, especially just in the kicker market. Maybe teams are going to be looking to sign guys that are specifically made for longer field goals, or teams are going to have to change up their entire style of play. When it's 3rd and 11 on your opposing 49, we might have to play for like 7 yards because we know we already have to go for it. So maybe not get all 11, but go for 7 or 8. What do you guys think about all that?
I think that's, those are some very interesting stats. I know you just listed off a bunch, but um, Brendan Aubrey came from the UFL, if I'm not mistaken. He
Correct.
started off there. He obviously was signed by the Cowboys. And I mean, if he was in this style of play in the UFL, if this was implemented, a few years ago when he was in the UFL, I believe that he would have gotten called up even earlier than he did because, I mean,
He would have been the MVP.
he was the MVP of the UFL.
No, he
Oh, he
would
would
be
be the MVP. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I mean, he would have gotten such a bigger contract in the NFL. I know recently that the Cowboys have had discussions with Brandon Aubrey and his contract right now in the NFL, and he's looking to become the highest paid kicker of all time. And so I couldn't even imagine if he was in the UFL making these field goals of 60 plus, getting his team that extra point could mean the world, at the end of the day, at the end of the game. So we could definitely see more kickers coming from the UFL into pro football. I know that kickers from college into pro football, especially recently, haven't had too much time to, adapt to these certain environments that the NFL brings. But we definitely could see that from a kicker aspect, that transition from UFL to the NFL in years to come.
definitely. This is like it's such like a weird thing to even think about. Like, I don't know if you guys are gonna watch the UFL or if you have, but like seeing it on TV and like just seeing like 4th and 9, and you don't see the punt team come onto the field. You see them lining up when it's first quarter or something. But I feel like it might create an interesting aspect to where the teams that don't have those long field goal kickers, and when they go for it, they might, in my eyes, I'm seeing they might try and go for like a Hail Mary, hope for a busted coverage, and hope that they can find someone open. And if not, they just hope the DB is thinking, oh, I'm going to get that ball, take an interception. Well, I just basically punted it, but I threw it to you and you're on your own 5-yard line because the DB got greedy. He wanted a stat pad. So I think it's going to become an interesting dilemma where they're teaching DBs, okay, swat every single ball down when it's 4th down. Don't even go for interception. Just go for the pass breakup. Or if you just see teams that, like Brick mentioned, when it's 3rd and 11, they're going for half the distance. They're going for 6, 8 yards to make that 4th down much more gettable than when it would be when it's 4th and 9, 4th and 11.
Yeah, I'm just, especially with, what was it? I think it was this past year that teams were allowed to pick the balls they kick with now. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, the amount of 59 to 65-yard field goals that got made this year was historic. I mean, never seen before. And I just hope that if these changes do ever make it to the NFL, I don't want to watch a game where teams are pushing the ball to the 43 and they're like, we don't really care if we score a touchdown. We know we have a 62-yard field goal kicker that's going to nail this for 4 points 5 times a game. I mean, we all watch football for touchdowns. I mean, that's kind of That's the main attraction right there, and I feel like you don't want to stray away from that.
Also, this thought just came into my head. Like, imagine you said the 43-yard lines where you need to get for 60 plus.
Yeah,
Like, imagine you're on the 43 and it's 3rd and 5. The defense says, "Come get 2 yards and kick a 59-yard field goal instead of getting that 60 to shave off 1 point." Or if you could see a team that has like a Brandon Aubrey like player, where if they're on the 40-yard line, they go, I'm gonna take a 5-yard loss and kick my 60-yarder for 4 points.
yeah. I mean, if
Interesting.
it's 3rd and 8 and you're just like, you're gonna get that 4 points from him 80% of the time, why don't you just take a 3-yard kneel?
Yeah.
So
Interesting things from the UFL. I mean, they're setting the standard as a not typical football, and they get the viewers, they get the viewership. I mean, Brick, our DC Defenders are defending champions.
I
Maybe,
saw that. I
maybe
was
we,
reading that the head of the UFL has actually come out and said that they are a testing lab for the NFL. That
yeah,
is their
I,
sole purpose now. So,
I bet
it's super
definitely
interesting to think all these rules they're coming into play for a reason.
those higher executives of the NFL, the Roger Goodells, they're definitely looking at this league constantly saying, okay, let's see how these rules do. Let's see how the fans like these. Let's see how the league does all that. I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be fun to watch, fun to see on like your Instagram, you scroll, and we're probably going to see essentially the NFL record get broken in the UFL because field goals are worth more now. And it's definitely going to be fun to watch.
For sure. I think also that a league needed to come out, not to obviously compete with college football, but it seems that, with the 1 foot inbounds for a catch, making this league a lot more exciting and a lot more, watchable. Crazy plays can happen if I can't even imagine the amount of more plays that would have, counted if it was only 1 foot inbounds, if, a guy only had 1 foot inbounds, like I said. Bringing in that viewership, making these crazy catches, hitting these crazy field goals could definitely bring in a lot more viewership on their side and maybe even compete with college football. I feel like that is kind of a crazy take for me to say, but with these rule changes, and especially with NIL, now that they're getting paid, I'm not too sure how much, UFL players are getting paid. I don't know how much, the crowd sizes are. I don't even know if they have that much viewership so they can get paid, as much as these college players are. But if they get more viewers, if they get their payrolls up, and if the seasons, align well, because I know the UFL takes place in the summer, and then directly after that is college and NFL football. But if they can maybe, switch some things around and, in the future, they can maybe even compete with college football, and maybe that becomes, kind of a transfer thing, from high school to the UFL into the NFL. That's just something that, popped into my mind after reading all these rule
Yeah.
changes.
Almost like kind of how like MLS soccer's got that like USL, like almost like a promotion league
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's
I know
definitely
hockey. I know hockey does that as well. I
Right.
mean, they go to Canada and across seas to Europe, to those kind of leagues where you're having grown men play, kids right out of high school. And if the kids in high school play very well against these grown men, then that obviously raises your draft stock exponentially compared to, you just playing your own age or maybe a little bit older than that.
isn't that what Connor Bedard did? Didn't he go
Yeah, I mean,
overseas?
a lot of high overall picks in the NHL draft have gone to Europe, have played in the Canadian League. I know Gavin McKenna. Actually, this is a fun thing to look out for. I'm pretty sure because of NIL, he didn't do this. He didn't, join the Canadian League or the European League, but he went to college and he's at Penn State currently, and that's something to look into. I don't know if NIL had any kind of effect on that. I would assume so. You're getting paid to be in the Canadian European League, but now you can get paid to be in college, and maybe that, boosts colleges, college attendance a little bit more for these highly touted, hockey players at a high school.
For sure. One of the other rule I wanted to really touch on is that the 2 point shootout in overtime, and that's kind of like each team gets 3 attempts. I feel like that's leaning more towards like how we see other sports overtimes, like Brick. You and I soccer. If the soccer goes past overtime, they do the penalty shootout. Each team's guaranteed 5 shots. Whoever has the most goals after that wins. In hockey, Gus, they have a three attempt shootout. Whoever has the most points after three wins. If it's tied, it goes to sudden death. I think that's going to be very fun to watch, very engaging. You're going to be watching from a 5-yard line, just rapid attempts, bang, 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 bang. And hopefully you see some cool plays, maybe some trick plays. But I think offensive coordinators, coaches in the UFL, teams are going to have to get creative of, okay, how can we score from 5 yards out? Like find a guaranteed play. Maybe one team has a play that it's going to work 99% of the time, and other teams might not have that same power. I don't know what you guys think about that rule change that they're implementing.
I mean, I think with them, taking out the tush push in general, I don't know how effective it is from 5 yards out. I know the Eagles obviously uses it for, two, maybe one, even inch it like fourth or third in inches on the goal line or something like that. But taking that out of the game, that definitely, plays into some effect because if you just run the ball up the middle, the odds of that compared to like a tush push or, just like a little flank to the right or left side, a little dump off, is probably a little bit bigger than you'd expect. But that's definitely going to be something interesting to watch out for as well. I'm not too sure, how they're going to really do that. Because, like, in my opinion, I think that they should, go into it like, even if it's a 5-minute overtime where it's just football for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, like it is in the NFL, and then you go to the shootout, kind of like what, soccer does with, extra time and even what is it, 30 more minutes added on time to the soccer games?
Yeah, 15-minute halves.
And then for hockey as well, they go into a period of overtime as well. And then they go into the shootout. So I don't know how this is going to look. I mean, obviously it's going to be very exciting because, I mean, who doesn't love a shootout in hockey or soccer? But yeah, I'm excited to watch that.
Brick, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I guess just the other side of it is, football, while they call it a game of inches, at the end of the day, most drives do start around the 25, 30-yard line. And I'm not sure how certain NFL teams are going to feel knowing the game's going to be decided by a shootout from 5 yards away. So I'd agree with Gus on maybe adding that extra 10 minutes still. I think it's in a good place right now where both teams get the ball. And in a sense, it's just sudden death where, touchdown, touchdown. And I mean, the same goes with those 2-point conversions. But having to drive the whole field, I think, is the difference maker and what determines who is the better team at the end of the day versus just giving them, shots from 5 yards out.
Yeah.
I think that would be the one big factor some people would care about. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a business. They're always looking for ways to, drive up content, what is getting people more engaged. And so if the UFL finds out that, people stay engaged longer with a game in overtime when it's a shootout versus the traditional format, then I don't see why the NFL wouldn't move towards that.
Yeah. All right. So that's all I had on the UFL rule changes and the NFL. Do you guys have anything else? Any other input?
Don't believe so. I think we discussed it very well. And I'm excited to actually watch a game of UFL. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch.
Hey, fellas, you know who had the most banned punts last year?
Banned punts in the NFL if this rule
Yeah,
would be
if this
implemented.
rule was put in place. I'll give you a hint. They had 93 total punts, the highest on the list.
Can you give us a conference?
Yeah, they're in the AFC, Dave.
All right.
1-16. I'll give you a reference number here. The Miami Dolphins had 63 punts, and only 2 of those were from inside the opposition. This team had 93 punts, and 13 of them were inside of the opposition.
Was it the Patriots?
It was not the Patriots.
I would assume that, like, if they were to get into opponent's territory and they wanted to, maybe cancel out the clock a little bit more, maybe get the game, back it up about, 5 yards to like the 48, 49, and then put them in a worse position. That was kind of my thought process.
Broncos?
Not the Broncos. It is actually the Cleveland Browns.
Browns.
Dallas was actually the lowest. They only had 1 punt inside of the opposition 50, which I think just kind of resonates with that prolific offense we watched last season.
How many of the Commanders?
And Brandon Aubrey as well. I mean, he could definitely from all the way out there too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that just goes hand in hand with if they change the kicking point values. teams might rather, you know, say we're going to take the risk on a 61-yard field goal than punt the ball to the other team. The Commanders, they sat at 56 punts with 8 of them being inside opposition territory. So kind of they were right in the middle.
Okay.
Cool.
And we're definitely going to make sure that this template, this brick mathematical genius level of stats is either included in our description or maybe we're going to be able to show a picture of it on screen. But Brickman, thank you for that. That was, I mean, you came in with the knowledge, you came in with the stats, and we appreciate that. That's what great guests do.
Yeah, well,
I don't know about you, Gus, but Brickman, you're welcome anytime. You want to come on and discuss anything?
Yeah.
Just let us know.
All right, y'all fellas take care. I don't got the ball knowledge on the rest of this. I'm a football guy. Yeah. All right, see you, fellas.
All right,
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up our football segment. Now let's hop right into some of our unsafe takes coming from this past week.
All right, guys, welcome to our unsafe takes. This week we had a few submissions, but we chose one that really struck a nerve for one of us here. It is that Jalen Brunson is better than Jaylen Brown. Gus, I'm gonna let you take it away.
So, I don't know if, many of our viewers are friends, family, people that we are, acquaintances with. And they know me to be a very huge Boston fan. I'm a Celtics fan, Bruins fan, Red Sox fan. And I am very passionate about my sports teams and my sports takes, okay? And before I get into this whole conversation about Jalen Brunson and Jaylen Brown, I would just like to point out the fact that before a few years ago when Jalen Brunson, really emerged on the scene as a part of this Knicks team, he's really started this Knicks team off a few years ago when he got signed from the Dallas Mavericks, and he's been great. He has been an All-NBA player for the past 2 or 3 years. They got him on a cheap deal. I'm pretty sure they extended him. He's been great for the Knicks. He's brought so much pride and energy to New York and New York City as a whole. But the thing is, right, I've been a Celtics fan my entire life. And before Jalen Brunson was a part of the Knicks, I didn't have any problems with Knicks fans. I didn't have any problems. Carmelo Anthony, Marty Stoudemire, those early 2010s teams, Jeremy Lin, they were awesome. Shoot, they even beat us in 2013 in the playoffs. I believe it was the first or second round. They spanked us, right? They were good. Melo, all-time Knick. He was on the team for a while. Celtics, we had Isaiah Thomas. We went and did our thing until the JB and JT came along. But before Jalen Brunson was on the team, before he even sniffed the team, before he even sniffed the league, I didn't have any problems with Knicks fans. Now, oh my goodness. They beat us in 6 games last year without our best player for the last 2 games, right? That's all I hear as a Celtics fan. I've gotten nothing but disrespect from these Knicks fans that have not smelt success since Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire 10 years ago. This is their first. You would have thought this Knicks team won the NBA Finals 5 times in a row. The way they were acting against my Boston Celtics without the best player, without a top 5 player in the league. So I just wanted to get that straight. I had no problem with the Knicks or Knicks fans. They were cool. Now, I can't even get my 2 cents out anymore with these Knicks fans. So now, Jalen Brunson is better than Jaylen Brown. Okay. So last year, like I said, you guys beat us in the second round of the playoffs in 6 games. Congratulations. You earned it. Didn't take you too far after that, now did it? Lost against the Pacers. This year, the Celtics, without Jason Tatum still, ever since that playoff run, or without Jason Tatum, right? We're second in the Eastern Conference. Now, why? Now, why is that? People may ask, oh, why is that? It's because of one guy in particular, and that's Jaylen Brown. That's Jaylen Brown. Well, Jaylen Brown. Now, let me compare. I'm going to compare these stats, Jaylen Brown to Jalen Brunson right now. Jaylen Brown, and we're talking this season. This season, Jaylen Brown, 29 points per game, 7 rebounds a game, 5 assists a game, and a steal, shooting 48% from the field. Jalen Brunson, 27 points per game, 3.5 rebounds a game, 6 assists, and just over a half a steal, shooting 47% from the field. Okay? So Jaylen Brown is better from a points per game perspective, from a rebounding perspective, from a steal perspective, from a field goal percentage perspective, and is 1 assist shy of just tying Jalen Brunson with the assists. Meanwhile, Jalen Brunson is a point guard. Let's get that clear, right? So now that's just offensively, right? That's just offensively. Jaylen Brown just sneaks by Jalen Brunson in some of these categories. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Now let's talk about defense. Okay. Everybody know that one saying that defense wins championships? Yeah. Yeah, because it did for the Celtics. And I don't know if it's going to work for you New York Knickerbockers. I don't think it's going to work. Because Jaylen Brown this season is giving up only 41.9% field goal percentage to his opponents that he's been guarding, right? And it's known that in his career, Jaylen Brown has always wanted the key matchup in every game. In 2024 finals, when we won, he wanted Luka the entire series. Locked him up, we won in 5. This year, a very key game from Jaylen Brown, dropped 50 points against the Los Angeles Clippers in LA. He wanted Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi dropped 15 or 16 points, shooting terrible from the field, locked him up. So, and his opponents are shooting 11.5 field goal attempts per game, shooting 41.9% from the field. Jalen Brunson is allowing almost 50% of their shots to go in from his opponents. Whoever he is guarding, 50% of the time they shoot the ball, it goes in. 50% of the time. And I believe this is like a bottom 50 defender in the league currently, just based on opponent field goal percentage, right? And with this defense that Jaylen Brown brings to each and every night, it has brought the Celtics to first in the league in opponents' points scored per game as a team. We lead the league in 107.5 points per game from our opponents because he brings that defensive presence each and every night. He wants the key matchup. He wants to be put in the spotlight. He wants to get gritty, and he wants to win. And that's exactly what he's done this year. It's exactly what he's done. He's taken on the number 1 role, and he has done everything to prove why he is an NBA champion, why he is an NBA Finals MVP, why he is an All-NBA player, why he deserves $50 million a year, and maybe why he even deserves regular season MVP. That's my stance on that. It just gets me very frustrated when these Knicks fans really just do not know what they're talking about most of the time. And it has only become recently that this has happened. I've said my piece.
As a casual NBA fan, I guess I agree with everything you said besides that MVP take. I mean, you laid out the stats for me, but the MVP take, JB deserving MVP, it's a little far-fetched. That's a little Celtics bias right there. But, I mean, you put it all on the table. You gave him history. You gave him stats. You gave him defensive stats. I mean, JB is better than JB, and I ain't talking the other JB. Your JB is better than this JB. He's gonna be better.
I needed to get that off my chest because of how much disrespect my All-NBA shooting guard has gotten over the past year, just because they beat us in one playoff series in the last 12 years. I've said my piece.
We're lucky we're gonna see him play.
What happened?
If we're lucky, we might catch him. I said if we're lucky, we could catch him playing again against each other in the playoffs. Maybe they match up first or second
I
round. Who knows?
would
But
love it. I would love it. But I
that's
believe
what
that
I'm
is the
looking to.
only unsafe take that we have. So we're just gonna hop right into our good dudes and bad dudes of the week.
All right, guys, welcome to our last segment of this week's pod. Is good dude, bad dude. My good dude of the week, pretty simple. I just came across my social media feeds today. Everybody's been talking about Ruben Bain Jr. and how he's undersized. Today was his official measurement day at the NFL Combine. We mentioned the Combine earlier in the pod. But Ruben Bain, he came in as 6'2", 263, and then his arm length is a big question mark. His arm length is a um, big concern. He arm came in at 30 inches and 7/8 of an inch long, and that's the third shortest ever recorded at combine for his position. And I just don't understand the hate that he's getting for this. I mean, I'm sure the GMs are looking like he has tape. He's obviously one of the best top 5 draft picks prospects in this year's draft, and I don't see why having that short of an arm or how that, a big of a difference, big of a change that might make for his position. I think his stats don't lie. He balled out at Miami. He can do the work. He made it work in college. Why can't he do it in the NFL? So my good dude, I'm bringing up the hype for Ruben Bain. I'm supporting him. I would love to see him on my Commanders. Again, I'd love to see probably about half this draft class on my Commanders because we're that bad. But I mean, this guy, he's a stud. He deserves every praise he can get. He does not deserve the hate and the concerns he's getting for just his arm length. Um, but that's my good dude. I'm backing him up. I'm supporting him. He's a good dude. He deserves to go top 5, maybe top 7 to slip to my man. He said 7. But Gus, who's your good dude this week? Who do you got?
So my good dude of the week is gonna be two guys, actually. So good dudes of the week. And they're both going to be coming from the United States men's hockey team that had just won gold this past Sunday. It's going to be Dylan Larkin and Zach Rowinski. When U.S. had won gold, we're obviously getting our gold medals. The whole ceremony had just taken place, and the entire team and staff are taking a picture on the ice right after the game had happened. And of course, all the U.S. fans stayed in attendance to watch. This obviously very memorable moment for our team and our country's history. But these two players specifically, um, they went out of their way into the stands to grab the late Johnny Gaudreau, his kids, to bring them on the ice and have them, sit with them and take a picture while they, were taking pictures of the whole team with the gold medals. So I thought that was really cool. That was really nice of them. They didn't really have to do that. Johnny Gaudreau, rest his soul. He played with Zach Rowinski on the Blue Jackets when he tragically passed away a few years ago due to a car crash incident with him and his brother. And Dylan Larkin, I believe, came up in the U.S. men's like youth leagues in Michigan and all those kind of like travel hockey teams that they have throughout the United States. So both those guys were very close to Johnny Gaudreau, and yeah, those are my two good dudes of the week.
Those are great, good dudes, man. Shout those guys out.
Hell yeah!
Who do
But
you
my
got?
bad dude of the week is going to be kind of a controversial one. We were talking about him before in the college basketball segment, but my bad dude of the week is going to be Darren Peterson. I know there's been a lot of controversy surrounding him and being on a load management in college as an 18-year-old. He's missed a lot of games this year. I read a stat the other day that in this out of the 7 games he's played so far, he's played less than 25 minutes. And as a star in college basketball, games are only 40 minutes long. I said before as well, AJ DeBanza played all 40 minutes in the game against Iowa State to bring them to a victory. Dropped 29, 10, and 7, I believe. But Darren Peterson has been under a lot of controversy. Missed the game due to illness, missed the game due to cramps, I believe. And he took himself out of the game. I believe it was this past week against one of those Big 12 teams that I believe they eventually ended up losing. But he's been under a lot of controversy lately, and I would love to see more of Darren Peterson. He's supposed to be another one of the guys to go, maybe number 1 or 2 or 3 in the draft, depending on, how he performs going the rest of this season into March and into the NBA draft. So that's my bad dude of the week. I don't hate him. I love Darren Peterson. I want to see him play more. But that's, my bad dude of the week. I really just want to see him out on the court and succeed for this Kansas team.
Yeah, I mean that's tough doing load management in college. Like you're only really hurting your own draft stock. I mean, the less you play, the less scouts going to look at you. They're going to say, "Oh, he's fragile." But I mean, if you know your body, you know your body when you need a rest. So I mean, I guess in the long term, it's not hurting his team, hurting their performances, and I mean, he can stay in that top four prospects. I mean, I guess it can work out for him, but that's definitely a reasonable bad dude. Definitely. My bad dude this week, I'm going to stick around this NFL kind of theme. Finding these bad dudes during this time, it's like a lull of sports where, hard to find one. But right before the pod, just scrolling my feed again, came across that Clint Kubiak, the new Raiders head coach, came out and publicly said that he wants a two-man show running back committee. And that just tanks Ashton Genty's fantasy football stock, if any of you guys play fantasy football. But also, it's Genty, man. He's his workload at I'm blanking on his college right now, but he played almost every single stat was given to him, and he was rushing for these crazy amount of yards. That was one of the big reasons why he didn't win the Heisman, is because he had the ball almost every single play. He's getting 40 carries a game, but he's rushing for 200 yards. I mean, at the end of the day, he can handle that workload. He can handle it. And why are you going to bring in? He's not necessarily saying he's going to take a running back in the first 2-3 rounds, but he just wants another guy in. But if you have such a stud of a running back, you have a guy that can handle that workload, why are you taking away from him? You're just – maybe if you brought in a guy that came in every other down or something just to give Genty that little bit of a break. But bringing in a two-man show is something I did not see working out for the Raiders when you have a star guy and Genty in the backfield.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe he's coming from Seattle where they did have that 1-2 punch in Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. Maybe he has that kind of thing or that kind of, thinking mentality. But, you just hate to see Genty get less snaps because he's only going to develop more if he, gets the snaps and gets the experience that, he needs for this Raiders team to be successful next year.
For sure.
But I believe that's going to wrap it up for episode 6 of the podcast. We appreciate you guys for watching in, tuning in again, and we shall be back next week with another episode.